at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need for Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as each other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually, and I've considered roping my sister in it to have office purse charges. Now, this is when Caitlin Clark chimed in. Caitlin Clark said, "Careful, you're going to get fined." Then Sydney Colson said, "I can't get..."
The WNBA is once again at the center of a major controversy, as Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson break their silence on what they believe is clear referee bias across the league. This time, there's no holding back. Both Indiana Fever players are openly challenging what they see as glaring double standards. Here's how this latest storm erupted and why it could end up exposing one of the WNBA's most uncomfortable truths.
Who paying you, ref? Who you betting on? And mind you, there was some problems going on with the shot clock throughout the game. But man, there is no way. Right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? She's like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor, fam. She's like...
After the Indiana Fever's nail-biting 76-75 win over the Los Angeles Sparks on August 29th, what should have been a moment of pure celebration quickly spiraled into controversy. Sydney Colson, sidelined all season with a torn ACL, was watching from home when she saw something that instantly set her off.
There is one referee. We definitely have to check for betting slips for this guy right here. I think his name is like Agun Agazi, because it sure seemed like he did not want to let the Fever take away this win, making the last 1.9 seconds last almost 5 minutes. He was just like letting them call a reset timeout, and then he was like, no, it's a foul. But I think the worst part about that 1.9 seconds was when 0.4 seconds was left on the clock, and Kelsey Mitchell was at the free throw line. She was trying to miss on purpose because that takes time off of the clock, because if she would have made it in, they would have been able to inbound and possibly do a tip in. But this guy allowed a reset timeout. When do you allow a reset timeout with 0.4 seconds?
During the second quarter, Kelsey Mitchell drove hard to the basket when Kelsey Plum reached in, grabbed, and yanked her in a clear attempt to stop the play. The contact was so blatant that even fans in the nosebleeds could see it without a second glance.
Oh, there's Leah. You gave them every chance to win. If you look at this in slow motion, you can see Caitlin Clark clearly smiling in confusion, smiling in, did that really just happen? Smiling in, you sly W. And she says, she points at the other team, you gave them every chance to win. Oh, goodness gracious. Caitlin Clark, she's chomping at the bits to start talking to these referees during the game, during free throws, after the game.
Caitlin Clark, despite being injured and stuck on the bench, couldn't hold back. She jumped to her feet, shouting at the referees, "Call it, call it." Right beside her, Lexi Hull was just as furious, rising in protest, only for officials to immediately hit her with a technical foul. Think about that for a second. Hull gets penalized for reacting to an obvious no call, while the player who committed the foul stays in the game like nothing ever happened.
That's what everybody saw in that game. Like, it didn't really matter what was going on. We all knew what was happening. We all knew what was happening there. And the game was being given. The game was absolutely being given to the Sparks. They were giving the Sparks every single chance possible to go and win that game. Even though realistically, did they deserve to win that game? Hell no. Hell no. They did not. And I mean that. They did not deserve to win that game.
If you're enjoying this, make sure to subscribe, because this is where things take a wild turn. Watching the chaos unfold from her living room, Sydney Colson had clearly seen enough. She jumped on social media and fired off a tweet that said exactly what fans were already thinking. At some point, Kelsey Mitchell needs to start getting the same whistle as other stars. The way she's getting hit out there? Completely out of control. She even joked, half serious, that she might get her sister involved to pursue charges. This wasn't just frustration from an injured player on the sidelines. Carlson was calling out what she sees as a pattern, a system where Indiana Fever players, especially Mitchell, aren't getting fair treatment from officials. And she put it out there for everyone to see. The tweet spread like wildfire, faster than a Caitlin Clark three-pointer, and that's when Clark herself stepped into the conversation.
Yo, please tell me y'all saw Caitlin Clark, the GOAT. Y'all saw Caitlin Clark crash out on the bald head ref last night. Please tell me y'all saw this. And she had Caitlin Clark spazzed on the referee last night. And I'm not mad about it. I see a lot of the haters talking about, oh, she be doing too much with the man. Mind your business. You are not in a GOAT's place, so stay out of a GOAT's business, okay? It's that simple. The officiating was awful last night. I don't know what was going on in that Los Angeles Sparks Indiana Fever game, but the officiating was flat out.
Caitlin Clark's response was short, sharp, and dripping with sarcasm. Careful, you're going to get fined. 5 words, but they said everything. It was a not-so-subtle jab at the league's growing tendency to crack down on players who dare to question officiating. And Clark knew exactly what she meant, because this wasn't happening in a vacuum. Her teammate, Sophie Cunningham, had practically become the WNBA's poster example of what happens when you speak out. She'd already been fined multiple times for criticizing referees, first with a $500 penalty for a TikTok where she lip-synced lyrics calling refs stupid and useless, and then another $1,500 fine for openly calling out inconsistency on her podcast. The message from the league felt clear. Say too much and you'll pay for it.
But Kelsey Mitchell's whistle last night was horrific. And Kelsey drove to the basket a lot. She is the type of person that just like goes through a lot of defenders, and she wasn't getting a call. This really was not her game. She was not hitting it from the 3 whatsoever, but everyone is entitled to having a bad game here and there. And I think she was kind of due for one because of the tear that she's been on lately. Even Sid Colson took to Twitter to talk about it, saying, at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually, and I've considered roping my sister in to have her pursued.
But it didn't stop there. Sophie Cunningham was hit with a 3rd fine after questioning why rookie standout Paige Buchers seemed to be getting a more favorable whistle. She openly said the refs were calling everything in her favor, like defenders couldn't even touch her. And if that's the standard, then it should apply to everyone, including her own team's guards. For saying what many saw as the obvious, she was punished again. And that's where the bigger issue starts to come into focus. The message being sent feels pretty clear. Speak out about officiating and there will be consequences. That's exactly why Sydney Colson's response to Caitlin Clark's warning hit so hard. I can't get no more fine. Translation? She's already taken the financial hits for speaking her mind, and she's not backing down now.
Said, careful, you're going to get fined. Then Sydney Colson said, I can't get no more fine. So Lynn Dunn stated, agree, I will help pay the fine. So that's what Lynn Dunn stated yesterday about the fines. And Caitlin Clark said, love it. Everyone listen to Lynn. So it's definitely a lot of exchange going back and forth there. That's crazy. Erica's in the mix.
But here's where the frustration really boils over. The numbers themselves are fueling the outrage. Caitlin Clark reportedly absorbed a disproportionate share of flagrant fouls this season. Figures that many fans argue go beyond coincidence and start raising serious questions about consistency in officiating. And it's not just Clark. As Sydney Colson pointed out, Kelsey Mitchell continues to take heavy contact with minimal whistles. In that Sparks matchup, despite attacking the rim all night, Mitchell only made 2 trips to the free throw line, something that immediately stood out when compared to how other high-profile players are officiated. That contrast is what's driving the double standard conversation. Whether or not the numbers prove intent, they've clearly amplified the perception among players and fans that something isn't being called evenly. Meanwhile, the WNBA has taken a firm stance on public criticism. When Sophie Cunningham questioned repeated missed calls, pointing out that even if refs make mistakes, obvious ones happening right in front of them shouldn't keep being ignored, the response wasn't a public review or explanation. It was another fine. And that's the core tension right now. Players are asking for consistency, while the league is prioritizing control over how that criticism is voiced.
Like, I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, I think she's a hell of a player and, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And if you're going to do that, then give it to our guards. I just hate the inconsistency.
When whistles are player focused, that's I think that's a huge problem. But then again, I don't know what sport that doesn't exist. But she's a rookie. She shouldn't get whistles as a rookie.
Facts.
Is that fair to say?
We know. Yes, or we know she's a good rookie and she's gonna get some whistles, but to get the treatment she got last night was.
This goes way beyond a few missed calls or one controversial game. For many around the Indiana Fever, it feels like a pattern, and one that's starting to raise serious questions about consistency across the league. Head coach Stephanie White has been vocal about it for months, calling the officiating egregious at times and pointing to what she believes is a clear double standard. Like the players, she hasn't been immune to consequences either, reportedly facing fines for speaking out. From the outside, what's fueling the frustration is how uneven things can appear in real time. Similar plays don't always get the same whistle. A hard screen in one possession draws a foul, while an almost identical play moments later is let go. The inconsistency, whether intentional or not, is what's driving the narrative. Players like Caitlin Clark visibly react to missed calls and quickly find themselves under scrutiny, while on the other end, physical plays can sometimes go unpunished. That contrast is what makes it feel, to critics, like two different standards are being applied within the same game. At its core, this isn't just about frustration, it's about trust. And right now, that trust between players, coaches, and officiating in the WNBA is clearly being tested.
More people are talking about the refs than that. More people are talking about Caitlin Clark's reaction than that. And that just sums up how bad the refereeing is that we have seen an unbelievable game. We have seen an unbelievable game. A game where you're like, okay, maybe, just maybe, the Fever have not even just maybe, the Fever put themselves in a great position. They put themselves in a great position to succeed. But now you're looking and you're like, what do people remember from this game? Caitlin Clark having to be restrained by her team.
The league's approach feels even harsher when you factor in the pay scale. Sophie Cunningham, earning around $90,000 this season, has already lost over $2,000 to fines for speaking out. That's not pocket change, it's a meaningful hit, and to many, it looks like players are being financially punished for criticizing what they see happening on the court. But here's the twist, the strategy may be backfiring. Instead of quieting the noise, it's amplifying it. Every fine is drawing more attention, more debate, and more support for players like Sydney Carlson and Caitlin Clark. Fans are rallying behind them, some even joking about covering potential fines themselves, while voices like Lynn Dunn have shown public support for the players' side of the argument. And the timing couldn't be more critical. The WNBA is in the middle of a major surge in attention, much of it fueled by Clark's breakout presence. With more eyes on the game than ever, every controversy hits harder and spreads faster. That's what makes this moment so pivotal. Instead of the conversation staying contained, it's growing louder, with more people questioning whether the league's response is solving the issue or making it impossible to ignore.
Right here, okay? It was this dude right here. And from what I've seen, the man has been a part of controversial calls all year. He's been a part of it all year, man. Oh my goodness. What was his name? Jack, what you say? Agan Abazi. Agan Abazi, man. This man is diabolical work to the WNBA. He's betting. Somebody get the shame bell. Ding, ding, shame. Ding, ding, shame. Ding, ding. Come on, man.
What gives Sydney Carlson's tweet its punch is that she's not even on the court right now. Sitting out with a torn ACL, she's still willing to call out what she sees as blatant mistreatment of her teammates. That kind of solidarity and courage shines a harsh light on just how broken the officiating system has become. Caitlin Clark's quick reply to Carlson about potential fines underscores how normalized financial intimidation has become in the league. Every player now has to think twice before speaking, balancing honest criticism against the risk of punishment. Legitimate complaints about poor officiating are being treated as acts of insubordination rather than issues that need addressing. The maddening part? The WNBA could fix this relatively easily, Better referee training, accountability measures, and a willingness to separate criticism from personal attacks would go a long way. Instead, the league continues down a path of fines, bullying, and victim blaming. Meanwhile, the games themselves suffer. Clear fouls are ignored, phantom calls pop up at crucial moments, and the very players who should be protected, Clark, Mitchell, and others, get targeted without consequence. Watching it all unfold, you can't help but wonder if some referees are even watching the same game everyone else is.